everyone, this is Tracy, and today I will be going over a brief history lesson on one of today's most popular social media sites, Pinterest. So what is Pinterest? It's a content sharing website that allows users to pin images, videos, and other objects onto their virtual pin boards. Pinterest allows users to create, organize, and share theme-based collections, as well as browse other boards. Users can also like or repin others' photos. Here's Pinterest's mission statement, according to its website. Our goal is to connect everyone in the world through the things they find interesting. We think that a favorite book, toy, or recipe can reveal a common link between two people. With millions of new pins added every week, Pinterest is connecting people all over the world based on shared tastes and interests. So who created Pinterest? Technically, Paul Sciarra, Ben Silbermann, and Evan Sharp are all three credited as Pinterest founders. Paul Sciarra is one of the original founders of Cold Brew Labs with Ben Silbermann. In 2010, he was listed as CEO and president. However, he recently left the company this past April. Ben Silbermann was a college classmate of Sciarra's at Yale University. Prior to Cold Brew Labs, Silbermann worked at Google in sales organization. He's the co-founder and CEO of Pinterest and is often considered the face of Pinterest in terms of speaking appearances. Lastly, Evan Sharp is a site designer, and although he officially joined Pinterest in 2011, he is also credited as a founder. So what is Cold Brew Labs? It's a startup founded in 2008 by Sciarra and Silbermann, based in San Francisco. Originally, it focused on a mobile shopping product called Tote. However, that quickly evolved into social commerce applications, such as Pinterest in 2010, with the new goal of curating and sharing collections of products, dead simple.
So, let me think. So November 2009, we
Okay.
started building it. Yeah, my wife came up with the name over Thanksgiving. We sort of started inviting a few people in January and February, and we never really did a big launch. It still is invite only, but it was invite only back then.
Yeah.
I emailed like 100 of my friends, and it just said
Four of
everybody-
them signed up.
We had terrible numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
When you
a lot of people weren't just grasping it, and I think there's a lot of really good writing in startups about being really diligent about data and iterating really quickly on things if early data doesn't work out. And I think that's really good advice, actually, but we didn't have the engineering resources to do that. And I really liked the product, and Evan liked it, and Paul liked it, and so we just thought, well, we'll just continue sort of working on it. So yeah, it never really popped in California actually at all for the first year and a half.
and so talk about
Yeah, it was a few months in. I mean, it's funny, we just hired a couple guys that are working on our data, so they're pulling through our old log data.
yeah.
And one of them pulled through the early data, like, wow, that was bad. And like 4 months in,
You're like, you're fired.
we're at 200 users or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the first people that started using it, there were two sort of groups. One was people who I grew up with, actually, in the Midwest. A lot of folks really enjoyed it. And then I went on a whim to this conference in Utah where there were a lot of people that were out of the creative industry, so interior design, and a lot of those people used it as well. I don't know. I mean, I've talked to a lot of really smart people in Silicon Valley about this idea of like early adopters, right? And I think the whole idea of early adoption has changed a ton. I mean, a few years ago, sure, like if you're into technology, you bought like a smartphone that other people didn't buy, or you paid more because you like technology for faster internet. But now, I mean, a lot of people at least, have really nice phones. They have Facebook and the app stores on Android or the Apple phone, which basically are the biggest distribution channels in the world. So I think that products will find their markets a lot more smoothly, and this idea that it's gated through Silicon Valley, I just don't think that's as relevant anymore, because the average amount of exposure and access people have to technology and to the primary distribution channels is just really, really different. So I think you'll see lots and lots of products that seemingly come from other places, but to me that makes total sense. Facebook has 800 million users now, meaning 800 million people have been trained to create a user account, to contribute content online, right? They understand that idea, and that's a really big deal. I mean, I think that's a bigger change that actually hasn't quite sort of soaked in, I think, in Silicon Valley. The site grew by the same percentage, like pretty much almost every month for a really long time. And it's just that the initial number was so small that it wasn't really on anyone's radar. And yeah, we did a sort of program with a bunch of bloggers. Victoria Smith, who's a blogger out of San Francisco, we organized this event where we invited a bunch of people to create pin boards about themselves, and then they could invite their friends to do the same thing. So it was an event that was very core to what the site was about, and it slowly started to pick up. But yeah, I think that we never did any press. We were pretty explicit about never wanting to do press. We still really rarely do, probably to our detriment now. But I think we were just so busy, and partly the personalities of the founders just like wasn't our cup of tea, that we never called up like TechCrunch or Mashable as like a launch strategy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was good or bad. You can't. Maybe we'd be
Seems
10
like it
times
worked out
maybe we'd be
okay,
10
yeah.
times bigger, but you can't really run those tests, you know.
Right.
I think people sometimes just look back and they're like, oh, that was critical, but you can't A/B test like an invite system or whether you call up TechCrunch. So I have no idea, but I will say that we had a lot of confidence that the early people that used it really liked it, because they basically heard about it from someone they cared about, and they were using it a lot. So.
To quickly recap his startup grind interview, Silberman stated they began building the site in November 2009. A few months later, they invited users, and Silberman himself admitted to emailing 100 of his friends to join. Initial users included people in the Midwest and from creative industries, and Silberman attributes smartphones in helping increase Pinterest user numbers, as well as blogging events and word of mouth. When asked why he did not give up on Pinterest, Silberman stated, "The idea of telling everyone we blew it was so embarrassing. I thought, Google is never going to take me back. They barely hired me the first time." Silberman has personally exchanged cell phone numbers, contacted, and continues to communicate with the first 5,000 Pinterest users. Due to the initial low numbers, all three co-founders analyzed every aspect of the site and launched an improved version in March 2011. Pinterest monthly visitor increase. In 2011, less than 500,000 visitors viewed Pinterest. That quickly changed, and in February of 2012, more than 17 million visitors viewed Pinterest. 2012 is Pinterest's year. This past March, Experian Hitwise data reported that Pinterest is the third most popular social media platform in the United States. In June, a study found Pinterest surpassed Facebook in terms of retail outlets or brands that fans follow or like. And this past August, Pinterest surpassed Tumblr in unique visitors for the first time at approximately 25 million. Here's a few statistics. Pinterest currently has approximately 10.4 million users, 80% of which are women, 20% men, and they have the key age demographic of 25 to 34-year-olds.